All right, welcome to Tennis Talk Daily. We are now underway in the second day of the Australian Open. There's already some interesting things going on. Milos Raonic does appear to be holding his own in his match, but we'll have to see as the night proceeds. This is probably going to be my last video for the day because I have other things to do, but I wanted to mention a few things. First, one commenter had mentioned Shapovalov, the young Canadian Denis Shapovalov, and his win over Tsitsipas today, in which he served up one of his own breadsticks. Not the 3 breadstick special like Rafael Nadal. I was laughing so hard at Matt Bradshaw's video about this when he was showing clips of the Olive Garden. But yes, Rafael Nadal was all about the breadsticks today. But Shapovalov looked really good. He served up 9 aces. He also had 6 double faults, which didn't look good. His opponent had the same amount of double faults. He got about 57% of his first serves in, which is not a great number, but he won 83% of his first serves, which is a very impressive number. Not quite as great as Dimitrov's performance today, but a very good number, but really good number as well, which exceeds what Rafael Nadal did on his second serve. Shapovalov won 69% of his second serves. He converted 63% of his break points, hit 33 winners, which I think is more than Nadal. So Shapovalov looks really good, and coming into his next round match with Tsonga, I do predict that if things play out like they are, that Shapovalov will probably win. The other issue that I wanted to talk about is Federer's match on the second day. He'll be playing the Slovenian Aljaz Bedin, who has, is just someone who has not performed very well on the tour. So it's not going to be shouldn't be a particularly hard match. Now, tennis is tennis. Everyone knows that, and it can be very unpredictable. But by all appearances, the great Roger Federer, is not going to have a terribly hard time in his first round match. Well, if he does, he'll get through it, and if he struggles, then we're going to think, uh-oh, is this going to be another U.S. Open? But we'll know how Federer's feeling and his mood pretty quickly, I predict. But in any case, he should do very well. If things are going to get interesting for Federer in the third round, where he could potentially face Richard Gasquet, who is playing well and who beat Dimitrov recently, as I recall. I'm sorry, Richard Gasquet, he beat Nadal recently, which was an impressive feat in and of itself. Pretty much an impossible feat usually for most of the players. And then, of course, possibly a Del Potro match in a quarterfinal with Federer, or that might work out with David Goffin. We'll have to see. But those two men have given Federer problems. So that's when things are going to get interesting for Federer. But still, as we prepare for the great Roger Federer to step into the Rod Laver tennis arena and play the game of tennis as we all watch in awe and wonder, I wanted to just reflect a little bit about the kind of two sides of the way I see the tennis world and my love for tennis. My love for tennis actually has kind of 2 faces. And one face of it is the love of the game, and the desire. And really, I want whoever is best, whoever can go out there and play the best tennis. This side of me, this face of my tennis, my love of tennis. That's what I want. I want the best player to win. But then there's this other face of my love for tennis in the vocabulary that I'm using, and it has to do with being a fan. And fan is, as I understand it, fan is a diminutive term for fanatic. And there's this other part of me who is not only a lover of tennis, but is a lover, admirer of tennis players, in particular tennis players. And for whatever reason, Roger Federer is someone who I think he's just a great man. He's a great athlete. I have said before, and I will say it again, I think he's the greatest athlete and sportsman that the world has ever known, not only in tennis. I mean, that's just my particular view. I mean, why I love him so much, it's hard to say in a way. It's in a way and that's kind of what I'm pointing out. There's another side of me that's in a way kind of irrational, and that's what the Nadal people are always pointing out, right? When it comes to Federer fans, and it's kind of true. I understand what you mean. There's this blind love that some people have for Federer, and I don't have a blind love. I love him for reasons. You know, it's a reasonable position. I think there is a justification for my fandom, my fanaticism in a way about Roger Federer. And as we prepare for him to go on the court, I just want to basically wish him the best and just hope that I just hope he does well. I know he will do well. I have really no question in my mind. But to really turn out a performance, because you know what? When Federer does well, when Federer's winning, and I've said this before, when Federer's winning, I feel like I'm winning. And it applies to the different elements of my life. He is an inspiration for me. He's an inspiration for a lot of people that don't even play tennis. It doesn't have anything he's an inspiration like John Lennon is an inspiration. And he's up there. He's basically, those are some of the people in my life that are the greatest inspirations in my life. And right now, I'm not a musician. I do play music, but I'm not a musician. Certainly not a tennis player. So inspiration can come from some strange angles and from some strange places. But you got to grab onto it. And with Federer, I just grab onto it. And he is an inspiration to me in my life. And when he wins, I feel like I'm winning. I feel connected to him. And it's a strange, irrational part of my love for tennis, but it's just one of the parts that you have to have. I'm going to be doing some objective analysis, but you will see that other fan part of me creep up into this. But like I said, I am a lover and fan of Roger Federer for reasons. It's a reasonable position. Nadal fans have their reasonable position in response. But I do think in the end, Federer edges out the great Rafael Nadal. And when I saw Rafael Nadal go on the court today, I felt I warm up to Nadal. I mean, he is a great man too. He's just one of the greatest athletes the world has ever known. It's miraculous in a way to see him and his dedication and his intensity. And I love Nadal. So look at me when you get into these finals with Federer and Nadal, and I'm going crazy. It's pure happiness because I want them both to win in a way. But I guess in the end, I do kind of side with Federer. So I apologize about that. But what you should really know is that I love the game of tennis, and I have the greatest respect and awe for the great players, the Djokovic's, the Nadals, the McEnroes, the Pete Sampras, but all of them, even sort of like an Andy Roddick guy who had the unlucky, was unfortunate enough to be coming up at the same time as the greatest player of all time, Roger Federer. So Federer kind of, unfortunately, created the circumstances for Roddick's, early demise. Whereas if there had not been a Federer, Randy Roddick may have been one of the greatest players of all time himself. There's been some carnage along the way with Federer's rise. Don't make no mistake about that. But he still is a great and munificent and he's to me, he's a god. He's a tennis god. He's a living god. He's in the flesh, however, and he's going to be playing tomorrow. And we should all, to my mind, be praying for Roger Federer. God bless him. I can't wait to see him play. We'll be talking soon. Bye.